This is episode number 545 of the InnerFight podcast. Welcome back to another edition of the show. Thanks a lot to our show sponsors, Smith Street Paleo. You can avail a summer deal with Smith Street Paleo if you work in an office and have some office colleagues. Introduce them to the meal plan. You guys all order and we will give you a special price. Email hello@smithstreetpaleo to hear all about that and exactly what you need to do to take advantage of it. But you could lose some weight this summer and you could also make some friends in the office by getting them a discount. Hop over to smithstreetpaleo.com. Check it all out. Welcome back to another edition of the show, folks. And today, your latest addition to the InnerFight coaching team, Mr. Robert Jones.
Hello.
Gee, there
Sorry.
he is. He's here.
Too excited.
Too excited. Way too excited, mate. Welcome to the team.
Thank you.
Actually recorded on day one. This is published on the 21st, but recorded on day one of your new life.
Official start day.
Official start day. You guys might know Rob from being around the gym, and also I really encourage you to hop over to show number 484 where we spoke about UTMBO Man. He was on with Tom Otten and gave that show, actually got some really good feedback, and he gave some really good insights. But mate, I want to dig back a little bit deeper in this show, and I want to get a little bit more in. Everyone knows you. You're Robert Jones. You're married to Heidi Jones. You've got a daughter, Hannah. No, and that's all nice. But mate, talk to us a little about your childhood.
The background.
The background, mate.
Okay.
These things are important to people and to me.
What,
Let's go.
What would you like to know?
I want to know what life was like growing up. I want to know what sport meant to you. I want to know who you looked up to. Tell us what you can.
Perfect. Okay, so growing up, my mother was a teacher right from when I was born, and my dad was in the military.
Right.
We grew up just outside of London, and sort of moving back and forth there until we moved to Northern Ireland when I was still in primary school, actually.
Right.
Normal upbringing, just tried to fit in primary school. It was hard to fit in moving between different primary schools, things like
sure.
that. I didn't really start sport as such until probably 11 or 12 years old.
Why?
I think that there was never anything specific that we did. We always used to go outside and play. Our parents took us on holiday. We'd go hiking. We'd play around on the beach. We'd just climb trees. Just do things that kids used to do, not so much anymore.
But being outdoors, mate, spending time outside was something that you got involved in a lot?
Yeah, that's what we did. Every single holiday we'd be out for the full, last day of term. We'd leave and we wouldn't come back to the day before school started, and we'd just be outside camping, showering out of buckets, that sort of thing.
Showering out of buckets.
That's my dad's fault.
Mate, I'm sure there's a longer story to that one as well. You started sport, more exposure to sport, as you said there, 11, 12 years old.
Yeah.
What did you enjoy about it at that stage?
Then it was, I say my sporting career started really with lifeguard swimming.
Right.
So we used to go to a military swimming pool, and there was two lovely women there that just threw on these courses where you could get your lifeguard badges.
Right.
And you just progressed up and up and up. You sew them onto the tiles, like you used to
this
do.
is this is why you're such a good swimmer.
Yes. And it was one day where they noticed my sister and said, look, you're pretty good. You should maybe join a swimming team, if you like. So my sister did that, and then I didn't want to be beaten by my sister, so I joined as well. She stayed better than me for many, many years.
Yeah.
And really, I swam as a main sport right through to university.
Wow. So, I mean, mate, for swimmers these days, obviously what we hear is a lot of early mornings, a lot of really brutally hard training. So you've experienced all of that?
Yeah, well, we didn't live near the swimming pool, so we used to have to go after school.
Wow.
I think it was 5-6 times a week, 2.5 hours, 2-hour sessions, and then there'd be swim meets or galas every week as well when the season was on.
What did you enjoy about it?
It was nice, although it's a very solo sport in that you've got your head under the water for the majority of the session. When you're resting, you're talking to people, the banter in the changing rooms beforehand, afterhand.
Yeah.
We used to do swim camps in Lanzarote at Club La Santa.
Right.
It was good team spirit, really.
Yeah, nice. Mate, when you started playing sport, or even as a kid, were there sports people that you looked up to, like sporting heroes, icons, or were you just too busy head down in the pool?
I don't really remember. I thought about this earlier on. I can't remember really anybody sporting that I looked up to when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I remember when we swam as youngsters, you always used to look up to the guys at the top of the club who are starting to make Olympic trials and then starting to compete for the country.
Right.
So back then, that was who I looked up to at the time. Never really any, I suppose, professional athletes as such.
Interesting.
I didn't like football. I didn't really pay much attention to rugby then.
Same. I like rugby, but I used to hate football. Actually, at prep school, they used to make us play football, but
I cannot stand football.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. When obviously your career path has taken a little bit of a different turn.
Yes.
You have not always, although you've always been interested in sport, you chose the path of a teacher.
Yeah.
Talk us through that a little bit. Like what sort of made you go into that? What was attractive about that? And talk to us a little bit about your teaching career.
Well, actually, I didn't even start off as a teacher. I started off as something else before that.
Hit us with it.
So university, I went to Glasgow University. Well, actually, I finished my A-levels in Belfast, and results day comes along. You know, you'd applied to lots of different courses. I'd applied for some medicine, I think, as a backup course. Didn't obviously pan out with the results I got. And I remember my mum sitting in the car waiting for me outside when I got my results, and I had to go for a meeting with the head teacher because I hadn't got my required results. And he said, what do you want to do? So I had a look down the courses, and there was a course for optics in Glasgow.
Right.
So I was like, that sounds like fun. I had a friend that was a professional whitewater canoeist, and he was an optician. And he spent less than 6 months a year working, so I thought that sounds like quite good fun. I could do that.
Yeah.
So I went to Glasgow University. Off I went, did my degree, qualified, started working in Glasgow, and I hated it.
Really?
So I think I started working full time in September, and I'd quit by December.
Wow. So it didn't last very long.
It didn't last very long at all.
So is that when the teaching came along then?
Well, then I was kind of stuck. I was like, what the hell do I do now?
Yeah.
So I thought, I like maths, I like sciences. My mum's obviously a teacher. She seems to enjoy it. She gets the holidays. It's, it's quite good fun. Or it seems quite good fun. Maybe I'll give that a go. So I volunteered at a few schools in Glasgow. Wow. Just turned up, had a go. They're very nice. These very posh private schools. They let me in to do some maths with the kids.
Yeah.
And I thought, actually, I really enjoy this. And so
what did you enjoy about it?
It was just every day was split into these 60-minute blocks or less, where then there was something new stimulus. The kids would come in, you could teach them, they'd learn something new, then they'd go away, they'd come back the next day, they'd remember what they learned, and you just see the progression from start to finish.
Nice.
There's also, you could be very inspiring.
Yeah.
So maybe some of them might come from some disadvantaged backgrounds.
Yeah.
And you could sort of help them along the way, give them some life lessons as well. So it was really nice.
Continue the journey for us.
So that was it. So then I decided that's what I wanted to do. So I did a 1-year PGCE, qualified as a teacher, and started teaching in Glasgow.
Ended up how many years later here in Dubai?
1 year later.
You were never really cut out for Glasgow, mate.
I know.
You tried 2 jobs up there, and neither of them worked out very well.
It's a lovely place, though.
How did you end up in Dubai then?
So it was budget cutbacks in Glasgow. I was the last teacher in, so was the first person out.
Right.
And so I started applying for some jobs. I applied for some in Scotland, and then there was a few in Dubai that I applied for, and Dubai got back to me first. And so I came over and started working in Jumeirah College for 5 years.
Which is now 9 years ago.
Yeah, that was 2010.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 9 years. When you got over here, mate, obviously we know you got into the brunch scene, because when we had your wife on the show a few months ago, she told us all about that. So let's not revisit that. But you also sort of
for another time.
It's for another show maybe. You also, it seems, started getting into sort of different sporting events, and you'd enter different things. Just talk us through it. Why? Like, how did that all start?
Well, I thought back to this. It started in those final few years in Glasgow. One of my friends, Paul, said to me, do you want to run a marathon? Yeah. It started off as a pub conversation, and we ran the Belfast Marathon. And we just started running along the canal path. There was no structure or anything. We just go out and run together. Yeah. He'd always whip my ass the last 2-3K, and it got to marathon day, and I killed him.
Really?
Yeah.
How good.
Yeah, he sort of stopped, he had a blister, and it's fine, so I just kept going. And then I got into a bit of cycling as well, and me and another friend cycled from Edinburgh to London for charity.
Right.
So it was kind of, I think I've always had the endurance background without actually realising it.
Talk us through your training for the first marathon in brief, and what was your time that you did it in?
In brief, I think we had 7 weeks or so. We'd maybe run 3 times a week, drink 3 times a week. We were still students then, so it was very haphazard.
Right.
And I finished it in 4 hours and 4 minutes.
Solid.
It was all right, yeah.
Yeah.
I was quite happy.
Yeah, that's so you're right in what you said there, mate, is that you probably had endurance somehow rooted in you.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So that was when you're back there.
That was back there.
Then when you get to Dubai?
Yeah, I moved to Dubai, and we did the first few years just milling around, a bit of silly gym work that I didn't really, know what I was doing.
Yeah.
Lots of extracurricular partying and not really much sport. And then Heidi for Christmas got me a new pair of running shoes.
Right.
And the guys in work had been talking about Wadi B, the 72k, and they've been talking about the big climb. It's about 30k, 25k into the race of 72.
Yeah.
And they called it, I won't go into the expletives, but we'll go with glute something hill.
Exploitation.
Glute exploitation hill. Something that would really fire up your glutes.
Yeah.
And so I thought, that sounds brilliant. I'd love to do that. And this was, I think, November time.
Right.
And the race is in February. So I thought, okay, so what could I do? Sorry, no, I lie. She got me Heidi got me the trainers at Christmas, but we started talking about it in November.
Right.
And so what do I do? How can I train? So I started running, just doing loops of the greens, because that's where I lived, 7, 8, 9k. And then I thought it'd be a good idea to sign up for Dubai Marathon, because that could be a good training run.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. So I did Dubai Marathon, and then that was January. 3 weeks later, I did Wadi B. That was my first ultra.
This was in 2013?
Ooh, yeah, probably 2013, 2014 maybe. It was the year before I think you did it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, mate. It was definitely you'd already run it the previous year, and then I ran it in it. Yeah, I think it was 2014 when I ran it. So yeah, you'd run that, and that was your first ultra.
That was my first ultra, yeah.
Feelings when you'd done it, mate?
Really, I felt it did anything past that last straight where you come down over a dam and it's all road right to the finish. And I just remember it was super, super hot. And you could see 5k in front of you to the sea.
Right.
And just thinking, Christ, that's a long way still to go.
Yeah.
It's really hot. And you could see people in front of you that were just walking, and I was still running. I thought, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
Crossed the line, and I suppose it was a bit of disbelief that I'd finished it.
Really?
But also kind of like, what's next?
Straight away.
Wasn't quite satisfied, because I knew if I'd have trained properly, I could have done better.
Yeah.
I hadn't quite reached any potential.
So what did you do?
Didn't really do anything. No, we went away, we thought about it, and me and Heidi decided that we'd like to do more ultras.
Yeah.
And so we made a little promise to each other we'd run at least a marathon / ultra every year in a new country.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really take training as serious as I could have. I didn't add much structure to it at that point.
Yeah.
Until maybe a few years later.
When was that?
I'm going to go with 2014, 2015.
2015,
yeah,
right.
I think when I met you, actually.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. But what races? I can't remember what races we did that year, or... Yeah, I don't remember.
You doing MDS?
That might be right, actually.
You were training for MDS?
2014 or 2015 I was racing in MDS.
You were running with Tom, weren't you?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, but obviously, mate, you were at that point again pretty handy with not much structure.
Yeah.
With not much structure and with really not much training. Like you say, you'd sort of go around, run at the greens, do this, that, and the other, and that would be it.
I say though, what I did have going for me was consistency. So I'd do something at least every day, or I'd have a rest day, but I would go out and I'd do some form of training. Usually I'd beast myself in some way.
Yeah.
So I say I'd go and run 6K, I'd run 3K easy, and then 3K I'd just smash myself.
Yeah.
So I was fit, but there wasn't any structure in place as terms of what I was doing on a Sunday to Thursday.
Hilarious. And fast forward, mate, sorry about that. Fast when all the electrics get turned off. See, these shows are live and unedited. Fast forward, mate. I was actually taking snaps for a post that I made to welcome you to the team yesterday, and I actually Instagram allows you to take 10 photos in an album. And I was actually going through my camera sort of for the last 3 years and got up to about 15 different things that we'd done together. I didn't even realize that there was so much. But obviously, mate, in the last couple of years, you've been a big support for me for a lot of my challenges. But your appetite for this stuff has gone through the roof.
Yeah.
What do you think, what is it that has, aside from obviously being able to hang out with me and listen to my shit for hours on end, which is not interesting at all. But what is it, mate, in ultra and in running that has sort of bred this desire for you to do more?
I think I like seeing how far you can go and how long you can go, and it's a sense of adventure.
Yeah.
You can run a 5K and you can smash yourself, and that's all well and good, but it's something different being out in the mountains for 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
When we ran through Corsica, the amount of people that looked at us and just said, "What the hell are you doing? What? First of all, why are you running this?
Yeah.
Secondly, why do you have no clothes on?" But it's just, the places that you can go to and the things you can see and the people that you can meet, for me, really make it. The amount of people that I've met out here alone, just from doing some adventures or some runs or even some hikes or being out in the trail or just even cycling. It's just incredible, and they're more in line with my values than people that you might meet at a brunch or in the
What
pub.
are your values, mate?
That's a very good question. That's on the spot.
Yeah, very much on the spot. There was no pre-show notes for this.
Ask me at the end.
We'll come back to that. I've got actually a really good question to finish up with.
Right, okay.
So now we're in a situation. It shouldn't actually be called a situation, but we're in a spot, mate. And I think this is what's quite interesting is that your running resume is quite incredible. In the last couple of years, we ran across Corsica together. UTMB Man last year, 140k. You finished in about 35 hours, which on anyone who's going to that this year will see that might not seem impressive on paper, nor does the elevation, but when you actually go out there and you have a look at it, it's an absolutely incredible feat. At the start of this year, you placed second in the Backyard Ultra, last man standing.
Forgot about that.
160 kilometers in 24 hours, running 6.7 k's an hour. Your resume is incredible when it comes to this stuff. And now you found a passion for helping others, mate. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So I suppose that comes from again, I was a normal guy. I was a teacher, and I do these things, and people would come to me and work, and I didn't really fit in. People would ask me, "Why are you eating that? Why are you running this? What are you doing? How are you doing it? I'd like to do that." And it's kind of so you'd give your advice, you'd tell people, you'd help them out a bit, and even the kids as well. The kids would be like, come and tell me, "Oh, sir, I did this today," or I ran 5K. And even whenever you were running your marathons, we took a group of kids to run with you, and I think 3 of them ran their furthest ever distance.
Incredible.
Just running behind you. And it's just that just excites me.
It's
and it just
cool.
I'd love and now I get the chance to do that and help people reach their journey, although it may not be the same as mine. They all have different goals and visions, but help them make that a reality, and going to be incredible.
I think that's the most, and you can see for the folks that are watching the video version, you can see how excited Rob is about doing that. And I really think that's something that comes through probably from your teaching side as well, mate. That you're very much liked as a teacher at Jess because you have this passion for actually caring and helping the kids.
Yeah.
And I think that's no different in running, mate. Before we wrap up, I've got 2 more questions to ask you. First is races that you have planned, just so that people can keep an eye on you.
Okay.
What do you have planned sort of till the end of this year that are like you need to continue, or I know you want to continue getting better as an athlete? So what's coming up for you?
So end of August, I've got UTMB CCC, which is 101 kilometers starting in Courmayeur in Italy, around the back of Mont Blanc to Chamonix.
Amazing.
1,900 people in that race.
Wow.
So that's going to be
For those
crazy.
of you that don't know, go and check out the UTMB website. The race that Rob has qualified for is one of the most famous trail races, the
in
UTMB
Europe,
week
sure.
in Europe, for absolute sure.
It's like if you like, it's one of the you could call it, I suppose, the World Cup final.
Yeah, that's no joke in itself. So that comes in August.
After that, I am looking potentially going to Jordan to run the 250k across Wadi Rum as part of the Ultra X.
There we go. That's a big race that we have around 12 people going to. So
it's going to be really good fun.
Involved in that will be good.
And then after that, I think I'm going back to Oman to take on their new race, which is 170 kilometers.
I mean, we were talking about this yesterday. This is just an incredible race.
I think it's close to 11,000 meters of climb. That's climbing. Going over Everest and back up again from sea level as opposed to.
Mate, it's incredible.
And then I don't know after that. I haven't really thought.
Well, that closes out the year quite nicely, mate, and your first 6 months as a full-time endurance coach.
I'm also going to do that.
I think there's plenty on your plate. Talking about the endurance coaching side, mate. Obviously, we've spoken a lot about the development of the Run Academy, and that's something that I know that you're excited about. Talk to us a little bit about that, so people can get an idea about it.
So the Running Academy at the minute. We're just going to make it bigger. Basically, we want to help as many people as possible find their love of running and achieve whatever running goals they want to achieve.
Awesome.
At the minute, we don't really have as many women and children as we would like. So maybe that might be a focus of mine.
Exactly.
So if you're a woman or a child and you want to start running,
call me.
hook me up. So I'm just really excited about taking what has already been set up. I mean, the growth has been incredible already. Even from when I started with Track Tuesday 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Yeah, you're one of the OGs.
That's it. There was a handful. To be fair, I wasn't even in your group for that one.
No, I know. You used to run with other people.
You started too late.
Childish.
But watching that grow over the course of the last year, it's just been insane. And there's a lot more it can do.
Absolutely.
So, watch this space.
Mate, final question is, and I think this is important right now that people understand a little bit more about you, the final bit about you, but ask this to a lot of people. You've obviously learned a lot along the way through teaching, through ultras, through all of this stuff. One piece of advice that you'd give to people that you just think is like your life go-to bit of advice, what would it be?
Again, on the spot.
Come on.
Consistency.
Yeah?
So, I mean, yes, because if you run 10K once a week, it's going to do nothing.
Yeah.
But if you run every day or do a little piece of something every day, you're going to get better. Awesome. It's the 1% rule, isn't it?
It is, mate.
If you can get 1% better every day, marginal gains, then over the course of a year, that compounds and you end up a better human at the end of it.
There we have it. That is your new Run Academy endurance coach, Robert Jones. Guys, go and check him out. Check him out over on his Instagram, Robert J. Jones. Send him an email, rj@innerfight.com.
Please do.
We will have him back on the show. That was a short introduction for today's show. We'll have him back on the show definitely after the race that he's got coming up. As he said there, UTMB race. Go and check that out. Absolutely huge. And those other 2 races this year are like, to be honest, most people would do 1, maximum 2 of those races in a year. He's doing all 3 in 6 months. So, mate, we wish you the very best. It's awesome to have you part of the team.
Thank you.
And we'll definitely have you back on the show very soon.
Look forward to it.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye.